Hello students, so I'm back again. This time I'm going to start all the tricks, tips and content classes for Icse class 2027 examinations. So today I'm with the detailed strategy discussion for Icse 2027 maths paper. Okay, so in this video I'll be sharing the most easiest chapter and a little tricky ones, and I shall share the strategies which you have to implement for your ICSE maths preparation. Okay, so let's go detail into the video. So here I have displayed the syllabus of your 2027 ICSE maths paper. Okay, your syllabus includes about 25 chapters from mathematics, and we will go one by one. Okay, the first topic is your commercial mathematics, which includes 3 chapters: the GST, banking and shares and dividends, out of which the first chapter, GST, is comparatively easy if you understand the concept, the transaction, the intrastate transaction, the interstate transaction, the net tax, etc. So this chapter becomes very handy if you know the concept, where to apply IGST, where to apply CGST and so on. Okay, so let's keep this aside, this GST chapter aside. Moving on to the next chapter, the chapter banking, which is comparatively the easiest chapter. You need to know the basic equations, the formula for calculating the interest, the maturity value, and sometimes you will be tested to calculate the number of years for which the account was held, which will involve the solving a quadratic equation. So this chapter is super handy. This banking chapter is super handy. Only you need to do is practice the previous year question papers as well as the specimen papers, which will be published by the council hopefully very soon. Moreover, you have to practice from the competency question paper, which have already been published by the council in the official website. Okay, so this chapter ranks the first position in the simplest ones. Okay, so banking is the chapter which you will not have to skip at all. Okay, so give ample practices, give enough practices from the previous year question papers as well as from the specimen question papers, the recent year questions, and you are done with the chapter banking. Okay, so this is the chapter which you should not skip at all. The next one is shares and dividends, which is also an easiest one, but many find it difficult because there are certain terms which you have to know. For example, the nominal value, the face value, the rate of return, the return percentage, the profit percentage, the dividend percentage. So it sounds a bit confusing if you are not able to interpret the question which is given. Okay, so once you practice many questions from this chapter, once you are able to identify the terms or the with terms which I have mentioned prior in the question, if you are able to identify them from the question, you are done with it. Okay, so this chapter is quite easy if you know the terms or the parameters which are given in the question. You have to identify whether the given value is a nominal value or it is a face value or market value. Okay, so you have to be very thorough with the terms related to this chapter. If it is so, then this chapter is also super easy. Okay, the next one which you can score greatly is this chapter, quadratic equations. Quadratic equations are a chapter which you can really score. Here in the text you will be learning 2 methods to solve a quadratic equation, which is basically the factorization method and using the formula method. So in this year at your 10th standard level, you will be asked to solve a question using quadratic equation, that is x is equal to minus b plus minus root of b square minus 4ac the whole divided by 2a. Okay, so this chapter is super easy if you could understand or you could practice sufficiently from the previous year question paper. Okay, the formula based questions. And another thing is you need to be very clear about the nature of roots. We will discuss the nature of roots using the discriminant b square minus 4ac, the conditions. If it is greater than 0, less than 0 or equal to 0, you should be very particular with these conditions. Okay, the nature of roots, to determine the nature of roots. And questions are probably asked from the sections also, mainly in the previous year 2026 also a question was asked from this particular topic for the MCQ 1 mark session. Okay, so you should be thorough with the quadratic formulae as well as the nature of roots. And another thing is next chapter, solving quadratic equations, which is basically a word problem wherein you won't be given a quadratic equation directly. You should read the context and then frame a quadratic equation from the above context and solve it. So this is practically quite interesting. If you could actually comprehend the passage or the question which is given, and you can correlate whatever it is given in the problem and then formulate it to a quadratic equation and then solve it. This chapter is super interesting. Okay, there you can expect questions regarding the time and distance, the speed, ages, regarding fractions, upstream, downstreams, etc. Okay, so this chapter is also quite interesting and quite solvable if you could properly understand it. Okay, and the next chapter which is quite handy is this chapter, chapter 7, ratio proportion. Okay, in this you will have to do problems related to the properties, the basic properties of proportion, which are the alternando, the invertendo, the compoundendo, the dividendo, and the combined compoundendo dividendo property. And every year a question is being asked wherein you will have to apply the CD property, that is the compoundendo dividendo property. So if you give ample time practicing the previous year questions, you are surely going to excel in this chapter, and you will not miss that marks which is from the chapter ratio proportion. So the ratio proportion chapter is also quite easier, which you should not skip at all, and you should ensure the marks from this chapter also. Okay, and the next one is the matrices. Okay, the matrices is also quite easiest chapter, wherein you will have to do basic additions, subtraction, multiplications pertaining to matrices. Okay, matrices means it is a rectangular array of elements wherein you will be tested on the basis of a 2 by 2 matrices only. Okay, so this chapter matrices is also quite important and it's a quite easiest chapter. Okay, so give ample time practicing this chapter matrix also. The next one is arithmetic progression and geometric progressions are quite easy. There are only limited equations for you to learn. There will be equations pertaining to nth term of an AP and sum of n terms of an AP and GP. Okay, so this chapter is also quite easy and important. You should give ample practice to this chapters, chapter 10 and chapter 12, arithmetic progression and geometric progression. Okay, so if you summarize what we have discussed so far, I'll suggest you to learn all these chapters in detail. Okay, so this is the chapter, this chapter 2, banking. Okay, this is an easiest chapter, and this quadratic equations, solving quadratic equations, ratio proportions, matrices, AP and GP are quite handy. If you are able to invest time to each of these chapters individually by practicing ample questions from your sample papers, the specimen question papers and past year question papers, trust me students, you are really going to score well, okay, from these chapters. So these chapters you should not skip at all. And let's further continue. Next is from the topic, the coordinate geometry. Okay, the coordinate geometry. From the coordinate geometry, this is the most important and most easiest section, the reflection. Okay, so reflections, basically it is a graph based problem where you will have to plot points and you will have to reflect it about x-axis, y-axis, and sometimes about origin. Then and finally you will get a geometrical figure, and you will be asked to write the name of the geometric figure so obtained. So this chapter reflection is also quite easy. Sometimes in 2024 it was asked for a 4-mark question, or you can expect a 5-mark or so from this individual chapter. So prepare well. There is nothing to by heart as such, only the names of common geometrical figures as well as the reflection. If it is reflected about x-axis, what happens, y-axis, what happens, and origin. And questions will also be asked about invariant points. So this chapter is also quite easiest one. Next one is the next easiest chapter which I could tell you is the constructions and loci. Okay, the constructions and loci are quite easy. Loci you will have to learn. You will have to learn to construct the locus of points which are equidistant from two given points or a straight line. Another one is locus of points which are equidistant from a fixed point, and next is locus of points which are equidistant from two lines, or means a common vertex angle. Okay, so this are the three which we have to learn from locus. And construction, of course, you have to learn to construct a circumcircle, incircle, regular polygon, regular hexagon. You will have to construct a regular hexagon, circumscribe it, inscribe it. Okay, so this chapter is also quite easy if you practice it on a regular basis. Okay, the next one is the next chapter, which is the statistics, which involves, first of all, is a graphical representation, the histograms and the ogives. These questions are repeatedly asked. You will be asked to draw ogives. It would probably be a 6-mark question. Sometimes the ogive diagram, the graph will already be given in the question, and you will be asked to find out the median class or anything related to that particular question. So this chapter, the histogram and ogive, the graphical representations are it's a best and a scoring chapter. Next one is a histogram, wherein you will be given a data and you will be asked to calculate the mode of the data using a histogram, which is another easiest topic. Okay, so you should not skip this chapter at all. The weightage of this particular chapter is quite high, so you should not miss this at all. Next is the measures of central tendency, wherein you will be tested to find the mean, median and mode of row data or arranged data, etc. And as far as mean is concerned, there are 3 methods which will be taught to you. That is the direct method, the step deviation method and the shortcut method. Any of these will definitely be in your question paper, so learn this. Okay, mean. This is a sure question. You will be asked to find out either the mean, you will be asked to find out the mean using step deviation method or shortcut method, and median, which will most probably be an ogive question. Next is the quartiles, etc. So this chapter is also quite scoring, and do not skip this one. Okay, the next one is the chapter 25, probability. Okay, probability, which includes tossing a coin once, tossing a coin twice, thrice, rolling a die once, twice, and questions related to cards, not the playing cards. The 52, it is not the playing cards 52. A deck of 52 cards is not included in your syllabus, but the other questions, as well as some logical based question, can also be asked from the chapter probability. So these are the most easiest and the simplest chapters which you should prepare at any cost. Okay, this chapter is also handy that if you invest time in these chapters, you can really score well from them. Okay, so so now how do you prepare it, or how do you practice it? So first of all, you should go through the text, the problem solved out in the textbooks, etc. After that, you can solve the previous year question papers, the recent 10 years question paper, which may include you can solve from 2015 to 2026, and all the specimen question papers which the council have published during these years. Moreover, the competency item bank question bank, which was already uploaded in the site by the council itself. Okay, so only after preparing from the past year question papers and all, only if you are well versed with this chapter, then go for the competency based question papers. So initially, I would not suggest you to do from the competency based question, because you should be well versed with the topics in particular in order to attend questions from competency based questions. So first of all, make sure that your concepts are strong and you have sufficiently practiced from the past year question papers and from your text. Only then should you opt for competency based question papers. Okay, so now, I didn't mean to say that any chapters are difficult, but initially I have suggested you the most easiest chapter. Many students, there are many other easiest chapter which I would say is this chapter circles and tangents, which I personally love solving. Is this chapter circles and tangents. Many students find it difficult because they will try to memorize all the theorems related to circle, but they find it difficult to apply the theorem study to the figure. That's the main problem. So the best method to learn all these chapters mentioned is to solve it consistently. Okay, you should never stop solving it until your exam date. Okay, you should solve at least 5 or 6 questions on a daily basis, maths. Okay, only then will you be able to improve yourself and improve your confidence, your mathematical abilities, and so on. So my honest advice is practice mathematics at least 5 questions on a daily basis and make it a habitual action. Okay, make it your part of your daily routine. Do at least 5 sums from mathematics before you go to your bed on a daily basis, and try this for 1 month, and at the end of the period you can find the change within yourself. Okay, so the only method to learn math is to solve questions. It is countless. You can do as many questions you need. The more you practice, the more efficient you become. So try solving all those questions. There are still many other chapters which require your conceptual knowledge also. These are the section midpoint formula and the equations of line. Okay, similarity is a chapter which many finds difficult because they find it difficult to apply the BPT theorem and the conditions of similarity and questions pertaining to the mapping. Okay, so all chapters are easy once if you try solving or practicing it. And another most simple chapter is linear inequations. Okay, the linear inequations also an easiest chapter, but many find it difficult in order to solve the solution set as well as graph it. Okay, for graphing the solution set, many find this portion difficult. And another important chapter is the factorization of polynomials, where you will be given a third degree polynomial, a cubic polynomial, and you will have to find the factors of it using the remainder factor theorem. It's also quite important and easy chapter. The most important chapter and the most difficult chapter which everyone fails is the trigonometry and the trigonometric identities and heights and distance. Trust me children, if you know the basic properties of trigonometry, the basic identities and everything, this chapter is going to be the easiest of all the chapters. Unlike the other chapters, here you will have to prove the identity and the base. And the question which was asked in 2026 board examination related to this trigonometric identity was such an easy question. Okay, and the heights and distance also. So if you are well versed with the basic trigonometric identities, and if you have those skills towards solving or proving an identity, you will definitely enjoy studying this chapter, trigonometry. And heights and distance, wherein you will have to correlate this trigonometry onto your daily basis and try solving and try finding some distances also. Okay, so these two chapters are going to be super interesting if you dedicate yourself completely to this chapter. The fundamental and the basic essential requirement is that you should be aware of the basic identities, the trigonometric identities, the basic formulas, the reciprocal relations, and everything. Trust me, children, if you know this identities, you are surely going to enjoy this chapter, trigonometry. You will feel proud solving all these trigonometric equations, taking lectures, and you obtain the RHS. It's quite satisfying, okay, to do problems from this chapter. The next one is the cylinder, cone and sphere, which is mensuration. This is also a particularly important chapter. It carries much weightage, wherein you will have to learn about the cylinder, cone, sphere, hemisphere, etc., the melting, recasting problems, and this also includes certain practical applications with respect to our daily life. Okay, so this chapter is also quite it's quite tedious, but if you give practice to it, it also becomes handy. Next is the equation of line and section midpoint formula requires your patience. Okay, it also incorporates your understanding. These two chapters purely based on your understanding. You need to read the question in detail and understand it. That is the main twist in this chapter. Next is the tangents and intersecting chord. Circles and tangents are also quite easy once if you know how to apply the formulas or the theorems which we have by heart. Okay, so this chapter is also quite easy, but many find it difficult due to the lack of actual practice. Okay, so now how should you actually prepare for the mathematics paper? See, unlike other subjects, maths is a subject which requires daily practice. Okay, unless you practice, you are not able to present it to your paper. So practice on a daily basis and make it a habit that before going to bed a day, you practice at least 5 questions from your sample paper, or whether be it from your textbook, be it from your past year 10-year question papers or anything. Make it a habit that you practice at least 5 questions a day from mathematics. Okay, it is only through practice that you can improve your mathematical ability. Moreover, certain chapters which I have already mentioned require your conceptual understanding. Ensure that all your concepts are clear and you have no doubt with them. Okay, and for trigonometry and heights and distance, what I would suggest you is that you have to practice it till your mathematics 2027 mathematics exam date. Every day you will have to do questions, practice questions, most preferably the previous year questions which a council has set on a daily basis. Okay, if you have practice a question, there is nothing wrong in re-practicing it, only because if you practice the same questions in a multiple way, the method to proceed will be registered in your mind, and automatically if a question appears, you will be able to know how to proceed it. Okay, so trigonometry and heights and distance is that require daily practice. Okay, now there are other chapters which demands your formulae. Okay, so make a formula book and revise it constantly on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. You have to be well versed with the formula, because formula, if that is wrong, then all your calculations will be in vain. So revise the formula thoroughly, especially with respect to the chapters arithmetic progression, geometry progression, banking, shares and dividends, equation of line, section, midpoint formulae, and all the theorems related to circles and tangents. Moreover, the graphical representation, the algebra, where you will have to calculate the upper quartile, the lower quartile, interquartile range, the mean, median, mode, the mean using step deviation method, shortcut method, etc. There, the formulae play a very important role. Once if you are wrong with your formulae, all your calculations will automatically be wrong. So you will have to keep a formula book by yourself and revise it on a regular basis. And next thing is, once if you are done with your text, then you can start practicing from any of the question banks which are available in the market. You can choose for Oswald. It is the best publication which is now being available in the market. Also Arihan Publishers, you can go for it also. So never follow from many texts. Follow or stick on to one particular publisher which you feel comfortable with, be it Oswald, Arihan, or any other publishers which is available in the market. Even Goel Publishers is also an important one, or rather a student friendly book. Okay, so you can try solving questions from these question banks also. The key important factor is that you have to practice on a daily basis. Mathematics require your conceptual understanding as well as regular practice. Only if you combine the both, you can score much better. Okay, so and the last tip which I used to follow as a ICSE 10 student was I used to prepare for the board examinations and not for the school examination. Be it your monthly exam, be it your term exam, model exam, anything, your ultimate target must be your board examinations. Even if you are attending a school examination, prepare on the basis that prepare as if you are appearing for your board exam. Prepare as if your board exam is nearby. Okay, so prepare ultimately for your board exam and not for your school exam. Okay, so you have to follow all these steps and prepare on a daily basis. Trust me, if you are ready to practice on a daily basis and ensure your growth, then trust me students, you are going to score above 90 in your board examination, ICSE Maths board examination of 2027. So follow all the steps, and if you have any queries related to your maths or any subject of ICSE class 2027, do comment in the comment section, and see you all back again in another video. Thank you.